It is Mailbag Day. You guys had some questions. I will try to answer them all on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jason JD Hernandez. I'm currently in my fifth full season of hosting this, also the PA announcer for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Have been covering hockey for over a decade, including minor leagues. And today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. There's no I in team, but there is one in Indeed, and that's a hiring platform you need to build yours. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/locked on. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, so I actually am still getting questions as we speak, and we're going to get to as many of them as possible. I'll try to answer as many of them here from Acrisure Arena. And just got to say, thanks to all of you that asked questions. As of right now, I have 13 going on 14, 15 questions. I'm probably not going to get to all of them, but I just want to say thank you for your questions. Some of you are sickos, and I love it. So just got to say thanks for the good and weird questions. Yeah. So we're going to get to them right now. And I'm going to start with longtime listener, friend of the program, Tom Houghton, Tom with an H. So just want to thank him for asking some questions. And there's one that I do want to answer right off the bat. Is Sam Colangelo, a permanent fixture at the top of the bottom six? I'm not going to say the top of the bottom six. In fact, it's going to be tough for a lot of those young guys. They're all going to be competing for those last spots, which goes into his next question. Will we see Zelli, Minty, Tristan, Jackson, Gudas all on the blue line? It's no secret that there is a logjam on the defensive end, especially with all the blue line prospects coming up. Olin Zellweger, I think, is a tremendous prospect. We saw him down here at Acrisure Arena earlier this year. He's one of the best skating defensemen, and when you consider the draft, they could add another defenseman to that mix. Minchikov, I've been high on Minchikov for a while, even though some of you, and you know who you are, I'm not going to call anyone out. I'm not. However, there are some of you that I'm still texting saying like, ha, Minchikov, you were wrong. So I believe he's going to make the team permanently. Tristan, I think, is going to be competing for a spot. Jackson Lacombe, I think, is going to be a fixture on the blue line. Radko Gudas, look, he led the team in hits. He led the team in block shots. He also led the team in penalty minutes. You need that physical presence. I don't care what anyone else says. You need a big body. You need a physical presence to, for a better lack of terms, protect your other guys. I get it. So Gudas will be on there. Cam Fowler, he is under contract. I did point out that Cam Fowler had 3 of the worst games in the National Hockey League this season, but he is still under contract. He's not going anywhere, so Fowler is still going to be part of the team. Therefore, there's going to be some guys left out, and some of those guys are going to end up in San Diego. And speaking of Radko Gudas, this next question from Tom, this is a good point, and I see where you're coming from, Tom. I personally would like to see Gudas as the captain for the next 2 years. Now, he continues, Terry is a leader, but does he have the right physical presence to be a captain? Troy Terry played the preseason game here, Ducks Coyotes, in October. And I still believe that Troy Terry is a leader for a lot of the stuff off the ice as well as on the ice. You don't necessarily have to be a physical presence in order to be captain. Is it helpful? Yes. There are captains in the National Hockey League that aren't exactly the biggest bodies. It's not common, but it does happen. I know that the Ontario Reign, they've had captains that are a bit shorter. The captain for the Calgary Wranglers, Brett Sutter, not the biggest body, but he's captain of that team. And I'll even go to Sidney Crosby, who when he started off as captain, he was not the biggest body. He worked at it big time, and he became a leader. And I think you have to think about those intangibles, not just big body, but are you a leader on and off the ice? Are you going to help the young guys out? Troy Terry has helped a lot of the young guys out. He was the one that got Leo Carlsson going to start the season. He deferred the offense to Leo, got him going, helped get him that hat trick. So Crosby, one of those examples. I mean, I'm sure there's other examples of captains that aren't the biggest bodies, but it's not just that. It's all about leadership. It's about, how do I want to put this? Someone like Zegras wouldn't be a captain because he takes a lot of penalties, and that's never helpful for a captain. You want someone that is going to defer to the referees. You want someone that's going to be on that lower circle area by where the off-ice officials are. So sometimes you have to defer to that. So I still like Troy Terry as the future captain. I think he is going to work on body just a little bit. So I'm just going to keep going on that train. But I see your reasoning for Radko Gudas because he is a longtime NHL player. He is a veteran. He's a big body. He does take a lot of penalties, and usually those team captains, you don't want them to take too many penalties. Just a matter of fact. Next question. I'm actually going to answer one more from Tom before I get to other questions because I have a lot of questions here. Are we putting too much pressure on Cutter Gauthier? I'm going to read this as is. Does the Duck fan base expect him to be Marvel Jesus? That's actually a question, you sicko. First part of that question, are we putting too much pressure on Cutter Gauthier? Yeah, probably. I mean, I get the whole hullabaloo. Oh, you traded Jamie Drysdale for Cutter Gauthier. Oh, man, we had high hopes for Jamie Drysdale. I get it. Cutter Gauthier, the Flyer fans. Okay, first off, if you're a Flyer fan watching this, stop with the hate now. He didn't want to play with the team. It happens. It certainly happens. I get why Flyer fans don't like. I get it. I do get it. But this is not the first time this has happened. There have been other NHL players in the past, other AHL players in the past, who have said, "No, I'm not going to play for this team. No, trade me." And usually they will acquiesce to those trade requests. There's your word of the day: acquiesce. So I don't know if we're putting too much pressure on him, but we've seen him perform at very high levels. We've seen him perform at juniors. We've seen him perform at NCAAs. Even though they lost the championship game, he still helped them get to that point. As far as the Marvel Jesus thing, I hope that the Duck fan base isn't expecting him to be Marvel Jesus. I think I get what you mean there. Are the expectations high? Yes. But he can do it. All right, we're going to head to the first intermission right now. You can probably hear that. So we might actually have to change locales for the last two parts of this. So we're just going to head to the first intermission. Stay locked in. Now a brief word from Policy Genius. And folks, Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million worth of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help you through it. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonnhl or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, you are locked in with Jason JD Hernandez, and it has been a fun mailbag day so far. I've actually answered all of Tom's questions, so we're going to get to everyone else's questions. So once again, thanks to Tom with an H for asking all those kind of fun questions. The Marvel Jesus one, I think, was just hilarious, so I just had to bring that one out there. But that was a fun one. I will admit, I'm not as much of a Marvel person as I used to be, but that's just me. All right. So we got some more questions, and I will try to answer them as much as possible. And you notice on the right that there is a particular question about a forward logjam. This courtesy of Brian Fisher. So thanks, Brian, for this one. With all the talks of trades this season, how likely is it that Vetrano and Zegras are in the Ducks' future plans? Now, I know there's been some rumblings recently that the Ducks could be getting rid of Zegras, or they could have gotten rid of Zegras, and Frank Vetrano was on that short list of players that could be traded on last year's deadline because he only has 1 year left on his contract. Ideally, the Ducks would like to keep both of those guys, but with salary caps and all that stuff, it's going to be very difficult to keep both of them. So I would say it's not a 0% chance. I think it's a greater than 50% chance that Vetrano and Zegras are in their future plans. Frank Vetrano, as we've seen, he is a dynamic goal scorer. He can put the puck in the net. One thing I like about Vetrano is he is a little bit of a score first type of guy, and he's been that for the better part of a couple seasons now that he's in more of a starring role in Anaheim as opposed to being middle six in places like New York, for example. We never saw that before with Frank Vetrano. Now that he's on the top six, we see how good his shot is. We see how aggressive he is. So ideally, I would love to keep Vetrano. As far as Zegras is concerned, he did lead the team in points 2 years ago, his last full season in the NHL. Last season, a bit of a misnomer because he missed 50 plus games due to injury. And most of those games, he was not even 100%. So I would like to think positively that next year, given that Zegras can have a full season under his belt, I would like to think that Zegras is about to enter his prime. And you don't want to get rid of that. So I'd say it's more likely that Zegras sticks around. Frank, a little bit less likely. But ideally, you want to keep both. All right. Thanks to Brian for that question. This one coming from Zachary Martin. So, Zach Martin, the new host of Locked On Hurricane. So, thanks for this one. Who do you think they could possibly bring in to help the top six next season? The draft might help if they get Demidov, but for next season, I know Steven Stamkos is a name that has been lobbied about. The Ducks would love to pick up a big-time goal scorer. Stamkos is still good for his age, but it is going to be very tough. So I don't know if I could answer this question right now, aside from Stamkos. I think I've answered this in previous podcasts, but that's a name that I just keep going back to because he's still producing at his age. My only concern is the Ducks have brought in older players in the past, and it hasn't quite worked out. And getting younger guys is not easy because the Ducks were 30th in the league, and how many guys want to play in Anaheim right now? So that one's kind of a tough one, but I just thought I would try to give that one a go. So thanks, Zach, for that question. I'm not going to go to those questions. I'm actually getting questions as we speak. So I'm actually going to answer this one that I've had in the back burner for the better part of a month. And I promised myself that I would keep this question. This is from D-Rock. I'm going to answer this. Why do you have all the other teams' jerseys, Stimpy? Okay, first off, props to you for calling me Stimpy, my nickname. So that's been my nickname all through middle school from Ren and Stimpy, happy, happy, joy, joy. I've always been kind of like a positive, kind of joyful guy. I'll admit that. So as far as why I have all the other teams, well, first off, what's wrong with having other teams' jerseys? What's wrong with welcoming other hosts with their team's jerseys? I see nothing wrong with that. I am a bit of a jersey collector. I've been collecting jerseys since really middle school. My first basketball jersey was a Nick Van Exel Lakers jersey. My first hockey jersey was actually a Mighty Ducks jersey that still kind of fits. It's not exactly 2 sizes too small like we've seen Steve Dangle have. So it's not that small. Like I could still fit in it. It goes up just below my belt. So like it's not super small, but I still have that one. And I will always love that jersey because, you know, all hail the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. Woo, classic colors are the best. So why do I have all these jerseys? I've just been collecting for a number of years. I used to go to the Forum all the time, have gone to the Pond several times. So I have Kings jerseys, I have Ducks jerseys aplenty. I won't say exactly how many jerseys of each team I have, but I have so many jerseys that I actually have a spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet of all my hockey jerseys, all my baseball jerseys. I even have a spreadsheet of all my basketball jerseys, and there's a lot of them. I won't say exactly how many I have because I haven't counted recently, but it's way up there. And the reason being is through the pandemic, there was that massive fire sale of jerseys that were like 15 to 25 bucks at TJ Maxx and Burlington Coat Factory and Ross. So I was like, you know what? These are cheap jerseys. I'm going to get some now. For those of you jersey heads that might remember from back in 2020, the jersey that I have hanging up, the 25th anniversary one, I won't tell you how much I got that one for, but it was less than $40. It was not expensive. And I love that jersey. One of my best pickups of all time. So yeah, partially I just want to be a completionist. And just so you know, D-Rock, I do have all 32 NHL teams and also a couple of defunct teams as well, including one of my favorites, the Atlanta Thrashers. So just to be a completionist, that's why I have all the other teams' jerseys. So thanks for that one. I'm probably not going to get to all these questions here because there's a ton of them. So the ones on YouTube, I'm going to try to answer them on YouTube right now. So I'm going to get to the other email question that I have because I have one more email question, which has to do with where I'm at, which is, you know, why do you have so many shows from Acrisure Arena? Don't you cover the Ducks? Okay, yes, I do, but there's no hockey going on in Anaheim right now. They've been out of the playoffs for a while, and I could record in San Diego, but it's kind of a darker arena. The lighting isn't quite the best at Pechanga Arena. I'd have to bring my own light, so that's why I haven't really recorded that much down there. And because I work here, as I've mentioned several times, I'm the public address announcer for the Coachella Valley Firebirds, and I'm here pretty frequently, and it just makes sense to do the podcast here because I'm usually here about 2 to 3 hours early. I decided to be about 4.5 hours early because Friday traffic, and I want to get an episode out to you guys. So that's why I'm here at Acrisure today. All right. I've got a slew of Twitter questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause here. This will probably end up being a super big, supersized podcast. So we're going to head to the second intermission, and I will answer the rest of your questions on the other side. And now a brief word from Indeed. And if you haven't used Indeed before, then what are you waiting for? Because there's no I in team, but there is an I in Indeed, the hiring platform you need to build yours. Because when you're hiring, you need Indeed. And you know, they have Instant Match. Like, have you used Instant Match before? Because it's pretty awesome. Over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description. The moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed Data US, they get tons of candidates just right at their doorstep. And that's one of the things that people really love about Indeed. And, you know, it's an incredibly powerful hiring platform, delivering 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, according to Talent Nest 2019. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit at Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks. It's a mailbag episode. Hooray! Once again, you're locked in with Jason JD Hernandez, and this is episode number 880 of Locked On Anaheim Ducks. So thank you to those of you that have stuck around for this long. I actually did get this question recently, so I'm going to answer this one from Daniel. asking, there's only a couple hundred episodes on YouTube. Why do you say 800 episodes? Okay, first off, we didn't start off on YouTube. We started off on audio only. We started off at Megaphone, and we weren't on Google right away. We weren't on Apple right away. So the downloads for those first maybe couple hundred episodes were kind of low. Once we are a part of Tegna, everything just really blew up. Our listenership blew up, and it's grown every year. And it's grown to the point where our great boss David Locke said, let's pivot to YouTube. So we've been on YouTube, some shows since the latter part of 2021. I've been on YouTube since about 2022. So while there are a couple hundred episodes on YouTube, there's a huge backlog of episodes on audio only. And some of my favorite episodes of all time are audio only. All the Hockey Jeopardy ones, that's audio only. Yet the All-Star Game, that's audio only. Being down in the bowels of Pechanga Arena, that's audio only. So there's a lot of really fun episodes. I think at some point I'll have to pick out like my favorite ones that are audio only and do a best of, just for the sake of doing one, because it's really awesome. So thanks for that question. All right. You know what? I'm just going to keep going and try to answer as many questions as possible because there's a lot of them here. So I'm going to start. Oh boy, there's a lot of questions that I've answered so far. And I'm going to try to get to all the Twitter questions. So I'm going to start with Laura Saba, who's actually the co-host of Locked on Habs or Locked on Canadians. Laura, by the way, has been on one of or many of my favorite episodes. She used to be one of the best Hockey Jeopardy players of all time. So she knows her stuff. So Laura, thanks for this question. I'm going to answer this. Will the Ducks let me have Demidov? No. I think the Ducks will want to have him. And if not the Ducks, then ask Columbus. I don't think Columbus is going to pass up on him. I honestly don't think Chicago is going to pass up on Demidov. I said in a recent episode that I think 1 is going to be Celebrini, 2 is likely going to be Demidov, and at 3, the Ducks have a lot of options, and I think that's where we're going to start seeing some of the fun. So I don't know if even the Ducks are going to have a chance at Demidov. So just keeping it honest. So thanks, Laura, for that question. This one comes from Dr. Dinor Bloom. So thank you for this one. Who do you see Anaheim picking with the 3rd overall pick? What areas will the Ducks focus on? So I actually answered this on the podcast from a couple of days ago, talking about the Ducks getting that 3rd pick. So I would refer you to that episode. This is, I think, 3 episodes ago when the Ducks got number 3 on the draft lottery. I'm going to stick with Lindholm being a good choice. I'm going to stick with Lechunov being a good choice, or Lechunov. I still like those 2 as the top choices for the Ducks to get with that 3rd pick. One from Michigan State and the other not from Michigan State. So thanks for that question. I got a few more here. I'm actually going to look at this question blind because I just literally got this question from Luis Alberto Johansson. So thank you for this one. I'm going to read this just blind. Okay, here we go. My question is, would it be a chance to bring back Brandon Montour to Anaheim? My second question is, could it be a very good chance to bring Steven Stamkos to Anaheim? So I just actually talked about Steven Stamkos being one of those guys that can come back. Brandon Montour. Wow. You know, Brandon Montour, that would be an interesting choice for Anaheim, but would he help with that logjam at that position? Ooh, that's a tough one to answer. I mean, that would be cool to get Montour back in Anaheim. We've seen him grow up outside of Anaheim. We know he's a very good player. We know he is. So would I like to see Brandon Montour back in Anaheim? I honestly don't see why not. The Ducks have the cap space. They have the money. So Stamkos, yes. Montour, yes. Is there a good chance that either of them come back? I'm going to say the chances for both of them are less than 50% just because I think the price is going to be pretty high for both of those guys, especially being in the playoffs is another reason why I think the price is going to be a little bit high. But, I actually forgot about Brandon Montour on that one. So thanks, Luis, for that question. Just like he literally just sent it to me. So thank you very much for that one. All right, couple more questions, then we are going to head off. This one comes from Matt Bottomley at MBottleMe. What are your favorite and least favorite NHL team names? Options include 1 musical style, 2 mythical creatures, 4 objects, 5 weather celestial bodies phenomena, 8 animals, and 12 people. Red Wings have a fun history, but the origin of their name as a winged wheel is just dumb. I'm not going to say I hate the Red Wings name. I mean, I do have a least favorite. I'll tell you that. My least favorite is still the Blackhawks, not just because of the controversy that surrounds the team with what's happened recently, but also the controversy around the name. I've never actually liked the Blackhawks team name personally, so I'm going to go with that as my least favorite team. I know it's an original 6 team. I know it's a traditional name, and I get that. But I would say that one's among my least favorite NHL team names, even though it is iconic and it's probably going to stick around for a while. Favorite. I'd be remiss if I didn't say I love the Kraken team name. That was a layup. I mean, that one was right there for the picking, and Seattle took it. So the Seattle Kraken is one of my favorite team names, and I'm not just saying that because of where I'm at right now, but no, it is an awesome team name, and I've always loved that one. And by the way, I do love the Firebirds team name. It is a cool team name, but I'm not just saying that again because of where I'm at. Blah, blah, blah. As far as other team names that I do like, I loved the Mighty Ducks team name. I loved the fact that the city came second in the team name. Just saying the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, that's badass. That was a cool team name, and I was really sad. Now, you know what? Come on in. I was really sad when they changed their team name. Ladies and gentlemen, for the second day in a row, and you know what? He just walked in the door. I'm going to bring him on if he wants to. Do you want to come on again?
Yeah, sure.
Because apparently fans loved it when you came on. It's a mailbag episode.
Oh.
That voice you hear is none other than Tim O'Brien. You know what, Tim? I want you to read that comment from our last episode.
All right. It says, always fun to see a guest on. Coachella is far for me on a Friday. Go Firebirds. Yeah.
How awesome is that?
That's great. Go Firebirds.
Yeah. No.
Are you feeling good about that?
I'm feeling good.
All right.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I'm actually finishing my mailbag questions. I'll have you answer this one too, because it's always fun to get a different perspective. I had like a million questions.
That's great. That means they're listening and watching.
Oh, some of them are sickos.
I love it.
Someone actually asked me why I have other jerseys. Like, I have every team jersey, okay? I'm a sicko, I'll admit that. So I'll have you answer this one as well.
Okay.
What are your favorite and least favorite NHL team names? Options include musical style, mythical creatures, objects, weather, animals, people. So what's your favorite and least favorite NHL team name?
Favorite Rangers, obviously. Least favorite Devils by a country mile. Devils times a million.
That's your least
favorite.
Is that
current ones or ones that we're going to make up?
Current ones.
Okay, yeah.
Current ones.
Rangers for obvious reasons. Let's go Blue Shirts. And Devils.
See, I said least favorite Blackhawks and favorite Kraken.
Okay. That is cool.
That is a cool one.
All kidding aside, not my bias. Kraken is a good one, right? The logo, the colors. Least favorite?
Least favorite. That's a tough one.
It is.
So my least favorite, Blackhawks.
Okay.
Not just because of all the controversy around the team name,
Right.
but the controversy that with everything that's gone on behind the scenes.
Sure.
So that's why I picked that one as least favorite.
They did it to themselves, right? That organization.
They
I'll
did.
go Jets.
Ooh,
Yeah, because I feel like the New York Jets were around first. They shouldn't repeat, right? Everybody should have their own identity. I'll go
True.
Jets. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I got one more question
right.
here, and I'm just going to answer this one as I'll let you chime in if you want.
Sure.
If the Ducks end up having another bad losing season, which we don't know, could we see some players growing impatient soon and possibly being asked or be asking to be moved if it hasn't already happened behind the scenes? That's a good question.
Yeah, great question.
I'm going to say that some players, players naturally do not want to be in a losing situation.
Mhm.
I know John Gibson is probably tired of losing all these games. He probably wants to get the taser out and start, you know, getting it towards his defenseman. Last season was historically bad for the Ducks. This might not be breakable, the record for most shots allowed in a season.
Wow.
And it's not close.
Really?
Last year. So I could see some players beginning to get impatient, wanting to chase a cup. I mean, Adam Henrique, he is now in the Oilers.
Yeah.
They're down in their series, but he's chasing a cup. I'll give another example before I let you chime in on this. Corey Perry, famously chasing another cup, even though he's won one. He lost 3 consecutive cups on 3 different teams. The Canadiens, the Stars, Stars, then Canadiens, then Lightning.
Wow.
Yeah, so he lost 3 in a row. So I'll have you give your perspective on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
if you want to come in closer,
I
actually.
think that's an NBA thing. I don't like when these players push their coaches out. I don't like when players demand they want out. I think you're lucky enough to be in the league, ride it out and roll with it. With that said, nobody likes losing. It gets old.
True.
Your culture, everything goes kind of downhill and goes south when you're losing. Do you want to win a cup because you never have? Or if you win one and get that taste, do you want it even more the second time? Right? So in Corey Perry's situation, I don't know. Yeah, I guess every player has a right. That's what you have an agent for, right?
Exactly.
So,
and some of these players, they got some really tough agents that try to get them as much money as possible.
Yeah.
But at some point, you kind of have to put money at the wayside and go for that cup win, because a lot of those guys, that's the dream. Like, they chase the dream to have their name on the cup. So it's really tough to say. And by the way, Corey Perry, 17 years since he won it with Anaheim. I cannot believe it's been that long.
Wow.
Saying that makes me feel old, because I remember I was at the parade, by the way.
Were you? How
was it? Oh God, it was so fun.
Yeah.
I still remember Arnold Schwarzenegger going up to the stage on the rally at the pond. It was the coolest thing.
So
to me, that was really cool. And they brought the cup in down Catella. They had like a helicopter. Like, it was really cool.
That's really cool. What a team, huh? With the Getzlaffs of the world and Corey Perry. And I don't want to get off track here, but yeah, that was cool.
But I think, to your point, certain players, they want to chase that cup. I'll give one more example that you might remember. Ray Bourque. He chased a cup forever.
One of the cooler moments of seeing a player finally lift it, right? You can see the relief, and that was one of those cool moments you'll see in hockey replays and highlights for the rest of the time. Yeah,
and honestly, I remember that Ray Bourque was the first one to lift the cup that time. I think it was Joe Sakic.
Right.
He just received the cup. He didn't lift it.
Right.
He just received it and gave it right to Bourque.
The ultimate respect.
Yeah.
It was a thank you for your service. You deserve this. Yeah.
Again, 20 plus years in the National Hockey League and never getting to do that. Those are the kind of stories that I love to see personally. And
gives you chills.
That one did give me chills when I watched that one. That's one of my favorite ones. So I think that answers all my questions that I have. Sorry if I didn't get to all your questions.
I interrupted your time.
Oh, no, you're good. You could stick around till the end of the show.
Cool.
But thanks to all of you that ask questions. Really appreciate it. Again, some of you are sickos and some of the questions that you asked, but I love it. So you know what? I love the energy. Keep being sickos. Keep asking like the bizarre questions. I love it. That means you're listening. That means you're watching. So thanks again. And thanks, Tim, for just jumping in.
2 in a row. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. 2 in a row, man.
Right.
It's like
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. It's like he's a regular here. With that, we're going to wrap up here. But I just want to say thank you all for the questions. I don't even know how many I answered, but I'm sure I will get to that. And this will actually come out late Friday. So just stay tuned late night for that one. For your late Friday, if you sickos are still up past midnight, or early Saturday, if you're really crazy and like up at the crack of dawn, I commend you. So once again, we're just having fun here, folks. Oh, there it goes. Don't know why that happened, but we're going to wrap up here. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to do this. There we go. You could follow me on Twitter X. I'm going to call it Twitter at StimpyJD. Tim, I think your Twitter is at Tim O'Brien TV, right? Yeah, thumbs up. So at Tim O'Brien TV. Mine's StimpyJD. Show's Twitter's at LO_Ducks. You could email me once again at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. And once again, thank you all for your questions. Actually, the audio side will be up in the afternoon. The video side, because I have to edit some stuff, will be later tonight if you want to check that out. So once again, thank you all for your questions and continued support. It is so greatly appreciated on this supersized episode. For Tim O'Brien, myself, live from Acrisure Arena, this is Jason J.D. Hernandez saying, have a great weekend, everybody. We made it to the weekend. Hurrah. Please remember to be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And ducks fly together. And Tim, thanks for coming on once again. You want to say bye to the folks from over there?
Appreciate you guys. Keep listening. Keep tuning in. Jason is the best.
Thank you.